What's up, everyone? Thanks so much for joining me on another episode of Woke as Fuck. This is your host, Maximilian Webster, and I have a special guest with me today. Her name is Candy Wheeler, and she is based out of Arizona. Candy, you there?
Hi everyone, how are you? I hope everyone is doing great today.
Awesome, awesome. So, why don't you go ahead and tell us a little bit about yourself, Candy? Yeah, we'd love to hear it from your own words.
I love that question because it's so open-ended and I've gotten asked, about myself so many times and it's evolved over the past few years.
Hmm.
And I was actually just being interviewed yesterday and the perfect story transition, came about into that conversation because it's just so raw and unedited and just real life. And what I will say is that, people know me today as the conscious business coach. So I help women really lay strong, solid foundations in their businesses to grow their impact and their income. I also host the most epic, life changing retreats all around the world. And that's just who I am for others. Now, what people don't know is that this life wasn't always possible. And in fact, just a few years back, I was in a corporate job, in a corporate position as a corporate wellness professional, and I had worked so hard to get to that space. I went to school, I went to college, I graduated college with honors, and then I found myself working in my what would have been my dream job, what I thought was going to be my dream job.
Hmm.
And when I got there, I was still unfulfilled. And I didn't know what this burning thing within myself was. And I was just like, man, this was supposed to be it. And I'm still not satisfied. And there was this burning nudge within me that said I was made for more. And I didn't know what that was. I didn't know I was going to be an entrepreneur. I didn't know I was going to turn out to be a business coach. But what I did was I felt so strongly to go after that feeling.
Hmm.
And I went for it. And it started out as this wouldn't it be cool if type of idea. Like, wouldn't it be cool if I can take what I'm doing now in the corporate wellness field, but bring it to women in a way that really helps women with a transformation? Because of another fun fact about me that most people don't know is I actually lost 80 pounds. And that's how I got into a wellness professional field and wanting to help others do the same thing. And I decided that I wanted to create a well-rounded coaching program that covered all of it, not just fitness, not just nutrition, but I wanted to talk about our mindset. I wanted to talk about processing emotion. I wanted to talk about the things that don't get talked about in normal wellness programs.
Hmm.
And so I created this well rounded program and having no idea who it was going to be for. And my first client reaches out to me and she wants to work with me. And I was just, wow, it's such a synchronicity. She was asking for every single thing that I had included in that program,
Whoa, I love that.
word for word, word for word. And I got on a call with her, and this was my first experience ever getting on a discovery call with anyone. And what she was struggling with was PCOS, which is polycystic ovarian syndrome for women that deal with this. It leads to infertility. It leads to just problems with our cycles and things like that. And she was trying to conceive, but her health was in issue. Her health complications were blocking her from that opportunity. And so, okay, I had no idea that I was going to be faced with helping somebody have a baby. I just thought I
Mhm.
was like wanting to create more freedom for myself, do something I'm passionate about. I did not
Whoa.
know. Yeah. I had no idea that this was going to happen. And I shared my program with her. She said yes. And that was my first ever client. And she actually, fast forward to now, she actually just had her baby about a month and a half ago.
Wow. That's
So,
amazing.
so such a miracle, so incredible. And so if anything, I want anybody to take away from that, it's just that even if you're in a space where you just know there's something more for you, follow
Hmm.
that call, follow that
Hmm.
nudge, because you have no idea the impact that you're going to be having on others and the ripple effects of that and what it truly is going to look like. You
Hmm.
just know that you can take the very next action step that you can see to take right now. And so that's actually how I started wellness coaching. And then 6 months later, I replaced my income, quit my corporate job, and then started traveling around the world. And that's how retreats came into place, because I wanted to share my love for travel with everyone. And then I
Uh-huh.
began to attract women who wanted to do the same thing. They wanted that freedom, and they didn't have the foundations to
Hmm.
be able to grow their impact, to grow their income. And so that's how I transitioned into business coaching. And I've been helping holistic healers for the last couple of years now. And it's been so incredible
I
to
love that.
play this role.
Wow, that's like a dream come true. And I just get chills. That's so exciting. Like, how inspiring. And I can totally relate to that. And I always thought I was going to be a teacher. Everyone always said, Max, you're such a good teacher. Like, and then I got into teaching and I was like, oh my God, I am unfulfilled. Like, as much as I love children and I love what I do, there's so much more that I wanted to offer people. Like, I started teaching meditation to kids and I was like, okay, this is so amazing, but I want to do this with like adults. I feel like people are not in touch with their inner child, and it's amazing that how
Mm-hmm.
you said, like, you created this offering and this woman came to you and this is exactly what she needed. And I think one thing that I want our listeners to take away from that is, like, when I feel like when we have these ideas to create these programs, these offerings, these services for people, there's a reason why you're creating it. And the reason
Yep.
is because someone out there actually needs this exact service that you're offering. So I talk to people, I'm like, I don't know who would want this. It's like, just put it out there. Like
Mm.
channel this idea, because it wants to be birthed through you, and there's going to be someone out there, I promise you, that needs it. It might not show up in week one, it might not show up in month one, but eventually, as you do this inner work and as you put yourself out there, you're going to find someone that needs exactly what you're offering. And it's so amazing, and so it's so like divinely inspired. I love it.
Yeah, I love that you said that. And I only like say that not like somebody out there needs it, but somebody is out there praying for it, like
Uh-huh.
waiting for you to release this experience and to channel this idea and to birth this idea, whatever it is. And
Mhm.
I have my girls, like, picture this woman or this person that you're out to heal, and they're on the floor praying for you
Wow.
to get out of your own way.
Goosebumps.
Yeah,
Whoa, that's
chills,
amazing.
right?
That is so true. Oh my God, I feel like
Yeah.
that's a perfect segue into what we're going to talk about, because I feel like we were going to talk about overcoming negative self-talk and self-sabotage and really owning your identity as a leader and entrepreneur, getting past
Mm.
that fear and criticism. So in your practice, what are the things that you notice that women are struggling with when they want to bring their offering out into the world? Or, I mean, maybe not just women,
Mm.
but people in general.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, and all people, I mean, men and women alike, we deal with this kind of burning void within us ourselves, maybe from past lives, maybe from this life, and,
Hmm.
past trauma
Hmm.
and experiences, that this void of not good enough, not feeling good enough, not
Hmm.
feeling worthy. And that feeling is so, especially with the women that I work with, it's so present at the beginning, because it's, who am I to do this?
Hmm.
Who am I to put this offering out there? Who am I to lead others through meditation, or like you're doing for people, connecting adults to their inner child and really doing that healing work? Who am I to do all that? And so there's this just strong feeling of, I'm not blank enough, like fill in the blank. I'm not worthy enough. I'm not tall enough. I'm not short enough. I'm not skinny enough. I'm not pretty enough. I'm not loud enough. I'm not quiet enough, whatever.
Yeah.
Just filling in that blank of, I am not enough. And that's what I dealt with when I first had this idea. Like, who am I to bring this to women? And who am I to
Hmm.
charge this much for this experience? And who am
Hmm.
I to, and all of that language of, I'm just not enough. And that's the negative self-talk and self-sabotaging, because it's, you are enough. But
Hmm.
it's that healing, that, where does that idea come from, going all the way back to, where is the first time you felt that experience, and
Hmm.
really just feeling what was going on in that time. Because
Yeah.
oftentimes we just made that up. It wasn't really true, but it's what, our eyes deceived us and telling us that we're not enough.
Wow.
And then, so
Totally.
it's really going back and healing that piece of us. So that's one of the first things we do.
Hmm.
And that's one of the most prominent things I see.
Yeah, totally. I mean, if you're listening to this now and you feel like you can relate to that, please feel free to go back to previous life coaching episodes that I have on this podcast, and you can see how I guide people into their inner world, into their early childhood, where simple things can really trigger us to believe that we're unworthy. So what I'm going to ask you next is, what is an example, maybe just off the top of your head, of maybe a client that you've helped through this, and maybe a story that you could share with us, that something happened, the first time this happened with someone, that really it ingrained this fear of not being enough.
Totally. And I'll just say it happens across the board. There's not one client that comes to me and is like, "I'm ready, let's do this." It's always
Mm,
like, I'm feeling pulled to this and I really want to do this, but dot dot dot, and
yeah.
then sometimes it shows up in a way that it's not like they're like, "Candy, I don't feel good enough." It's like, it might show up as, I don't know if I believe in myself, or there's even language that comes up of I've been making excuses, and all of
Mm,
that is where the self-sabotage comes in. And
mhm,
I'll say, for an example, I mean, I can use my own story and let alone everybody else's. Like, for me, growing up as an overweight child and getting so much like bullying comes into place, and in
mhm,
school, and I get told, I'm chubby or I'm fat or whatever, those language, that type of language from other kids,
yeah,
and
yeah,
automatically I turned that into, like, this person might have said, like, "You're chubby." And then I was like automatically like, "Oh, I'm unworthy," or like, "I don't," and
mhm,
creating these other stories
mhm,
that were never, that's not what they said, but
mm,
that's what I took, and that's what I created. That's the
mhm,
story I created.
mhm,
And so the same thing for anybody else that experiences it. It's like that one time you experienced it, and then you go on and then proving that story. And
yeah,
so then you create those experiences. So then
mhm,
when I went on into, my adolescent or my teenage years, and then, like, my parents bought something for my sister, but they didn't buy it for me. And so I knew I wasn't good enough. And see, look,
wow,
they love her so much better than me. And I attract those same experiences
mhm,
throughout my adolescence and then adulthood, and then it just
mhm,
carries on until you identify it and
mhm,
discover that that's the story you've been playing out over and over again, and that trickles into our businesses. So if
totally,
we don't address that, then that's going to show up in our business and in our sales conversations, and in the, wanting to up your prices or anything like that, like, "Oh, but what makes me good enough?" And
mhm,
it just goes all the way back to that first time you experience that. So if anything, I'll just use my story as an example,
yeah, that's
because
amazing, yeah,
yeah, that's just what comes up for people. And I think that's the best work. That's the warrior work. That's my brand, is the warrior in you. Like, the warrior work that comes up along the way is just like really recreating that story, that not only you are good enough, but you're more than enough. You're more than worthy, and you start from there. And that's how
mm,
we see progress in our businesses. And that's how we see that growth there.
wow, thank you so much for sharing that. Thank you for your vulnerable share. I mean, yeah, it's one, helping other people and helping them identifying these things, but it all starts with ourselves. You probably wouldn't be here if you didn't take that time to do that inner work and to see where your beliefs came and where you were making these stories. And it's almost like when we have these beliefs, we so easily look for reasons to reinforce these beliefs. Like, oh wow, like, just like you said, like, your sister received this gift. Oh, okay, this reinforces the belief that I'm not good enough. So when we have these
Hmm.
beliefs, it's almost like we go through life, and any little thing that will reinforce the belief is what's going to help. It's going to keep it stuck, right? So,
Yep.
wow, wow,
We're going to prove ourselves right. Humans love to be right.
yeah,
We're going to continue to prove ourselves right over and over again. And the same thing goes then when we create a new belief. We have to kind of work overtime to recreate that belief. And so nowadays I look in the mirror and I'm like, "Dang, I'm so cute." And I'm so dramatic. I'm so dramatic with it. Why? Because I was dramatic with the old story too.
Mhm.
Like, literally any little thing, like, "I'm not good enough, I'm not worthy, blah blah blah," and so now I'm like, every time I see a mirror, I'm like, "Dang, who is that? Oh my gosh." Like,
I love that.
yeah.
I love that. Yeah, it goes down to our brain function, and how our brain is structured. Putting these beliefs is going to create these neural pathways for us to go into those negative experiences and these stories a lot easier. So you literally have to rewire your brain with these new ideas and these new beliefs about yourself. And it takes time. It's not something that can just happen overnight. And, you
Mm-hmm.
know, I see a lot of people using positive affirmations, and it's, yes, you can, yes, they work, but if you don't address the
Right.
yeah, it's a big deal.
Right, it's ours, the subconscious, like it's beneath the consciousness. So we can consciously use positive affirmations, like you said, but there's 95% of our minds that are still turning back to saying that, positive, like the universe is abundant, and it's like, oh, really? Look at your bank account, or something like that. It's
Exactly.
like right away. So it's working overtime. So we have to get and tap into that subconscious piece of our mind and really rewire in that way. And that comes through meditation, that comes through yoga, that comes through sitting with ourselves, that comes through the warrior work and the life coaching and all of the things that we do for people, that it comes along with the journey. And like you said, it doesn't happen overnight, because you've been believing you weren't worthy for 30, 20, 30, 40 years, 50
Hmm.
years, 60 years. Now all of a sudden you're going to do one meditation and then you're going to be like, oh yeah, I'm woke. No, it doesn't really work like that.
Not quite. Exactly.
Yeah.
Totally. Oh, what was I gonna say? Give me 1 second. Oh, yes, 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 yes. And something that I found was so helpful for myself in my journey was listening to the people around me. You know, it's really difficult to reinforce these negative beliefs about yourself when other people around you are telling you such amazing things about you. So it's almost
Mm,
like you can do a little bit of both in order to push yourself into a new way of thinking, a new way of being. It's like I would not be as far as I have if I wasn't listening to the people that were telling me, oh my gosh, like these meditations were great. Wow, that healing session was awesome. Wow, that coaching session really changed my life. And this is the result that I came from it. So what I would recommend to someone that's going through these things is like, listen to the people around you. They're not lying to you. They're telling you the truth.
mm.
And that's another thing that can help you boost your confidence and help you identify yourself as this person that you're becoming. Okay.
That's the art of receiving. That's
Mhm.
receiving those things, because there was a long time I couldn't receive that. Like, Candy, you do have a story that can influence and impact other women. You already are. Because I kept telling myself, like, no, I still have to do X, Y, and Z first, and I have to get this certification and that certification. I have to do
Mm,
this and that, and and that comes up too, and that's the form of self-sabotage and holding yourself back. Like, what you shared is like the art of receiving, because those compliments are happening all the time, but we don't know it. But half the time, like, we could be blocking that and just not
yep,
even listening, because we still feel like we're falling short of our expectations that we don't even know where it came from. Like, we have
totally,
no idea where this expectation came from, but we're falling short of it.
totally, totally. So let's segue, since we're on this topic of the voices of others. We were talking in our last conversation about getting past the fear of criticism and getting clear on whose opinions of you actually matter. I think this would be a
Hmm.
perfect time to talk about that.
Yes,
Excuse me.
I love
So,
it.
so yeah, could you just go in a little bit of what you were telling me last time about whose opinions actually matter? I think that was so powerful.
Yeah, because one of the things that stops, and this is another thing that comes up in every single coaching session, it's not just like, some people deal with it and some people don't. It's every single one of my clients has come up with the same thing. Like, I want to share about this. I want to put it out there. I want to put myself out there. I really want to step into this. And this goes along with the identity, and we can talk about that as well. I really want to step into the identity, but dot dot dot, what will this person, that I call the fear of criticism the what will people think of me syndrome. So it's, what will
Mm,
this person think, what will that person think, what if this person judges me, what if these people are going to think, who does she think she is, all of the noise that we fear from others. And so how to overcome that is, it's because biologically, engineered to desire or to feel worthy of belonging, love and belonging.
mhm,
We desire connection. We desire acknowledgement. Those are innate. Those are not learned characteristics. We
mhm,
truly are born with those. So we can't just go off and say, I just don't want to give a crap about what anybody else thinks. I just don't want to care about what anybody thinks, because that's ultimately, like, so many, I've said it. I'm sure you guys have said it at one point. Like, I'm just not going to give a F what anybody thinks. I'm just not going to care. And while that's like, it sounds good, it gets really lonely, because the fact of the matter is you actually do care. And I'm always going to care what my clients think of me. And I now I take that from a different approach now. And I just get really clear on whose opinions of me matter. And then I call those people and ask for feedback. So I actually got this practice from Brene Brown. She's epic. I'm sure y'all, if you're listening to this podcast, you might know who she is, but she's just, this woman who studies shame and vulnerability and courage. And she has tons of work. She does research on these topics, and she actually has, like, evidence of these practices. And so she actually, she shares this practice of cutting out a 1 inch by 1 inch piece of paper. And on that 1 inch by 1 inch piece of paper, writing down the people's opinion. They're the people whose opinions of you matter. And she says she'll tell you who these people should be. They're not people that love you despite of your vulnerability and imperfections, but because of them. Mm-hmm. And so these are people that are going to give you real raw feedback. They're going to tell you that you are good enough, but at the same time, they're going to be people who are going to say, hey, you were out of integrity when you did that thing. You should apologize. And so these are people that are going to give you the truth, the real feedback. And so I narrowed it down, and that's your square squad, and call them and solicit feedback from them. Like, how am I doing? How do I do with vulnerability? How am I doing out? How am I showing up in the world? And then there you get your sort of fix for connection, and you get your fix for, love and worthy of belonging, worthiness of love and belonging. And you get it there. So that way, like, Susan from the internet doesn't matter. It's like you just post what you post, or you share what you share, and then you do it unapologetically now, because you got the feedback. You know where you're at. You don't need that acknowledgement, justification from some rando person on the other side of a phone screen that's like in their mom's basement or something. It's like you got it, you're good. And so that's how you get over the fear of criticism, is getting really clear on whose opinions of you matter, and then asking those people for feedback.
I love that so much. So finally, let's go into owning your identity as a leader. And I think this is a big thing, because maybe someone listening out there maybe not even realize that they are a leader. So what would you say would be the biggest thing that you've learned about owning your identity as a leader?
Well, I love this question, because there is, like, there's this idea of what a leader is and what a leader isn't. And I think everybody needs to know that they have a leader within themselves that's waiting to be activated if it's not already. And so it's really just owning that. Like Brene Brown says, I define a leader as somebody who sees the potential in people or processes and has the courage to develop that potential. And so that's really all it is. So everybody is already a leader. Everybody has a leader within themselves. Now it's waiting to be activated. And so, but what happens is we don't feel ready, because we haven't been showing up that way in our day-to-day life. So now when it comes time to really owning that, to really saying, I am a coach, or I am this, or I am that, just really owning that, or this is what my prices are now, and they're like 3 times what they used to be. And really owning that, there comes a space where it's like, I'm not ready. And like we mentioned this early in the podcast, it's like, first I need this and that and that and that certification, and then I'll be ready. It's almost like a destination mindset. Like, oh, well, if I get X, Y, and Z done, then I think I can identify myself as a leader. I just want everybody on this podcast to listen. I hope this goes viral, because I want everybody to know this. It's ready is a lie. It's not real. It's such an illusion. Like, feeling ready. I never feel ready. I can sit here today as an international retreat leader, as a person who, has done what I've done in my business, who sells out coaching programs, sells out retreats, and I still don't feel ready. I still have to pump myself up every day. And even after going for it and doing this full time and traveling around the world, and this is my reality now. This is like, I look around me and I'm like, wow, I created this life and I still don't feel ready. From that moment I was sitting in my corporate office, it's still the same feeling. It's like, oh, okay. And then so it's really just identifying, first of all, that's a lie, and this is what actually happens. So you take the action, you take the leap, you lean into that leadership role. This is who you are now, this is who Max is now. And then you let your old identity catch up.
Wow,
because it
so
does.
powerful. So powerful. Giving me goosebumps multiple times.
Yes.
I love that. I love
Yes.
that because I think I saw a post on Facebook earlier and I really wanted to say something about it, but I knew we were going to talk about it later, so I was saving it for now. But it's like there's this idea that leaders don't have fear. And I can just almost see that people that haven't stepped into their leadership role, they're like, oh well, I can't do this because I'm still afraid. Like, what the heck? I got scared before recording this podcast episode. Are you kidding me? Like,
Yeah, totally.
you have to own that fear and realize it's not more powerful than you are, and you have to take those steps regardless, because everyone has a fear. I'm sure people just such as Tony Robbins, people that have been doing this forever, everyone has these fears, but you know what makes a difference is they make those moves anyway. So I think that's so powerful. Thank you for sharing that reflection.
Totally. And I love what you said about, like, how there's this like idea that I should be here before I can lead others. Like, I shouldn't experience fear. I shouldn't be feeling this way. And I think that's another struggle that people deal with. Like, one of my clients, she was saying, like, I don't know about life coaching because I'm still dealing with this. And I'm like, do you think you're going to be like an enlightened guru before you can help others? Because, like, honestly, and I can say this because I felt the same way. Because I had lost 80 pounds, but I'm like, oh, I'm still not at my goal. Like, what makes me worthy of helping people? And then I had to have a tough love conversation with what I call my soul brother. And he said, Candy, you've lost 80 pounds. And he was a personal trainer at the time. He's like, my clients struggle to lose 5 pounds.
Wow.
And to lose 10 pounds. And you've lost 80. And what do you mean you don't feel like you're good enough? What do you mean you feel like you're not ready yet? And my client was dealing with the same thing the other day. She's like, man, I'm feeling all these feelings of uncertainty and unknown, and I feel like I should be past this. But evolution is an everyday thing. So you're going to experience those feelings every single day. It's not like, cool, I'm enlightened, let's go help people now. It's, no, I'm human and you're human. I've walked a fire that you're about to go through. I can help you. I see a leader as, you've literally walked a fire, and you've walked through this fire, and now this person on the other end is just about to step into that. And so you can help them with everything that you need right now. And we lead from a place of worthiness. We lead from a place of, I am enough already. And then the value I add is even more, not like, okay, I need to do X, Y, and Z first, and then I'm worthy, and then I'm valuable. It's not, that's just not sustainable.
Oh my God, Candy, you killed it. I'm speechless. For the first time in 13, 14 podcast episodes, you've left me speechless. You killed it.
I love it.
Amazing. So I'm sure by this time, if the people that are all the way have listened this far, they're wondering, okay, this Candy chick is amazing. How can we get into contact with her? How can I work with her? How can I go to one of her retreats? So please feel free for a shameless plug. Let us know everything you got going on, everything that you would like to invite people to. This is your moment to shine.
Thank you. So everything is www.womanwarriorinyu.com. So WOMAN warrior, WARRIOR, testing my spelling, INYOU. I'm like, I'm usually saying this in front of me.com. So womanwarriorinyu.com, and then at Candy Wheeler on Instagram. And just plug in and connect. I actually just recently launched a course that is Launch Your Conscious Coaching Program. So it literally takes you from ideas in the air, like, I think I'm a life coach. I've done work on being a life coach. Everybody tells me I'm a life coach, or any sort of any sort of a, service-based business can benefit from this, but ultimately wrapping up everything you offer, from whether it's Reiki and yoga and meditation and coaching all in the mix, like packaging those services and offerings up into a profitable program, a profitable mentorship program. So going from ideas in the air, walking you through step by step, building that coaching program, launching that coaching program, and growing it, increasing your income, increasing your impact, from hosting and leveraging events to client onboarding and supportive behavior change, facilitating long-lasting change in others. And that's actually available now on my website. So definitely check it out if you're feeling that pull to be a leader. You've done your warrior work, and now you're getting the call up to leadership. That's definitely a program for you. So I'd love to have y'all up there. Yeah, thank you so much for allowing me to share that.
Of course. So you heard it from Miss Candy Wheeler herself. If you are a Reiki practitioner, if you're a life coach and you're just trying to figure out maybe what do I do for marketing, or how do I get this business launched, and you're not trying to waste any time or bullshit around, definitely go check out womanwarriorinYou.com. Any last words for our listeners, Candy?
No, yeah, thanks for having me, Max. I really appreciate this. I love this podcast. I love everything that you do for others, and I feel like we're just right in sync with our mission. So I know everybody listening to this is going to really enjoy this conversation.
Yes. All right, everyone. Thank you so much for listening to another podcast episode. If you are maybe on the in-between of, trying to get your foot in the door with coaching, maybe not there with your finances yet, definitely check out some of my free life coaching podcast episodes. And if you feel like you're ready to commit to your vision, to stepping into your leadership role, definitely reach out to me. I have spots available for one-on-one coaching. Candy, are you still accepting one-on-one clients right now?
Yeah, I've actually only got one more space for this month for private clients, but then more will open up later on down the road. So always reach out for sure.
Awesome, y'all. Well, thanks so much for tuning in to another episode of Woke as Fuck, and we'll see you next time. Peace.